Well, welcome back. This is episode 1 of season 2 of It's Not a Meisner Podcast. We've been away for a bit. Um, we did, I think, 15 episodes, and Carson had said, let's call that a season because we did kind of wrap it up. And I thought it was a good idea. We took a little bit of a break, and now we're back. And we're back pretty strong because our first episode, we discuss a ton of stuff with a very, very good actor and a great guy. Um, Actors sometimes have reputations for being assholes, for for being difficult or just being, like stoic or whatever. But you and I, every time we talk to an actor, they're the sweetest people ever. And today's guest is no exception. I'm talking about Brandon Flynn, the sweetest, most genuine, authentic guy, who has done some extraordinary work and is quite known in the industry, and yet he remains humble as anything. Brandon, right out of school, Brandon studied with me at Rutgers, and he really was only had been graduated for just a little while, and he booked 13 Reasons Why, which at that time became one of those cultural touchstones. Every now and then something just busts through, and so it was a very, very big deal to some people in the world. Actually, I mean, he wrote to me once from like 13 Reasons Why premiere in Brazil or something. He wrote me an email, and so it made quite an impact. And since then, he's done theater and television. He was on Ratched, about that show about Nurse Ratched, and he was very, he makes bold choices. Let's put it that way. And uh, he's done some theater, and I believe the play that he did off Broadway that I saw is now coming to Broadway. So I think it's his Broadway debut. So we have a very interesting conversation with him, as always. We tend not to follow a blueprint, right? We just get talking and whatever comes out of our stupid mouths. I'm not saying Brandon's stupid. I'm saying Carson and I are stupid, and we embrace it.
Yeah, mainly me.
Mostly Carson, but he helps make me stupid. So I'm glad he's in my life. Um, so after our intro, we will come back with our very, very interesting conversation with Brandon Flynn. It should not be acting training. It should be actor training.
Am I a good actor?
Like me doing. It's not a Meisner podcast.
There it is.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Kevin.
Brandon and Carson were just commiserating over studying with Deborah Headwall, who we mentioned in an earlier episode with Tom Pelfrey. Deborah Headwall, great actor and a great teacher. And Brandon, the reason I bring it up is to demonstrate how a young actor like Carson is studying, but Brandon, who's out there for a while and has a nice career going and is a solid, professional, really good actor, still studies when he can, get in that room.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I crave it. So it's nice that people like Deborah teach those kinds of classes and don't extort money from young actors as well.
Absolutely.
Which is nice. It's a pretty affordable deal. There's certain names that get recommended all the time, and you go on and you're like, that's like 3 months rent for people. Like, what are you teaching?
Well, yeah. What is it? The golden, once I study with you, I'm going to crack that code,
Yeah.
No, I know it's tough out there. I do worry that there are people who, well, you put it pretty bluntly, exploiting and extorting people, because it's they love it and it's their passion, and so they're gonna seek it out. But you know,
Well, yeah, it's also an industry with, no formula. So when you kind of have someone preaching, I've noticed this recently. I keep getting, my algorithm on Instagram for some reason keeps feeding me like casting directors who no longer are casting directors, but now are doing workshops for actors, with the answer of how to get a part. And then I like look through their Instagrams and they're so full of like advice and rules that I'm like, I mean, literally, like, don't ever walk into frame on your audition tape. I'm like,
that's gonna get me the job.
okay, please don't pay money for that.
No, yeah. Listen, Carson and I were just talking about this. That we were talking about having you on, and we were saying, we had people on in our first season that are very, very good actors, and some of them are very, very well known. But we don't do celebrity interviews. We're talking to actors, and we want even if they're well known, we want them to talk about acting, and why they love it and how they love it and how they apply it, et cetera, et cetera. So for you to bring all that up, it's a very important thing for people to hear.
Well, especially young people, right? Because it's all social media driven, and it's all a desire for quantity. Like you need to do this class, you need to have 8,000 great teachers on your resume, or else you're not good, and all these rules and formulas, like Brandon said. But it's not. It's that you said this to me once, Kevin, when I was really, like, when I first met you. You said your artistry must speak for something. It doesn't have to be pleasing the industry all the time. Your artistry should speak for something, and I think that's a great rule to live by.
It's hard to stick to that because it's all driven by, well, like you just said, man, these days it's social media driven. I wonder what the equivalent of that was in my day. Well, I guess it was just wanting to be famous or something. I don't know, like, why are you an actor? Because I like all the attention, or so yeah, it's a trick. It's a slippery slope. It's really a tricky run. Anyway, here we are with Brandon Flynn.
Start out on a.
Yeah, that was a hell of an intro.
There you go.
We should reference the Brandon's backdrop there, huh? He's on an island off Greece, I think. Or
Yeah. I'm in the Cycladic island of Denusa, which, if you're familiar with any mythology, Ariadne, who helped Theseus conquer the Minotaur, and he promised her marriage, then abandoned her in Naxos, which is another island. But Dionysus, god of, wine, and I think, him or them and Apollo. Yeah, lots of fucking. I mean, theater and fucking they're interchangeable. But he brought Ariadne. Yeah.
But what he brought Ariadne? What
he brought her to Denusa and kept her safe until he eventually married her and then brought her up to Mount Olympus, and
those Greek gods, they were a lot of those Greek gods were dicks.
And horny and really self-interested.
Yeah, I think we have to assume they were all written by Greek men.
Yeah, self-interested, horny.
That's fascinating, though. Yeah, but Brandon sent us or he sent me. I'm not sure, Carson. I think you were CC'd on it. The selfie with the Theater of Dionysus in the background.
Oh yeah, yeah. Where it all began.
I mean, the outside, it's extraordinary that these buildings exist. They didn't crumble. I mean, they're ruins, but
Yeah. No, I mean it really is. I mean, a lot of these ancient cities like really they're so attractive because of this. Like you live on this like friction of like modernity and like these ruins, which in Greek history is specifically like over the time and the different wars, like it's actually like layers of earth have like been uncovered to like experience one part of the history, and then they go, oh, maybe let's keep excavating, and then it's like a whole other part of history that Greece is specifically is on tectonic plates, so it's like earthquakes and stuff have like moved history. It's pretty mind blowing, and you're like,
it is
sitting
mind
there.
blowing. It is. Did you? I'm assuming you went into the theater. Also, you weren't just outside. Did you go in?
Well, the theater is just is an open air
Yeah.
theater. So what's left standing is they've kind of overlooked the stage. Like the stage is actually like part of the cliff that's now just more of a walkway, and isn't really like importantly displayed. More so the seating that still exists, and they still had they had a very like strong political system. So like seats with backs belonged to like emperors who would come in, and like producers, and
Yeah. Who sat where, and
Mhm.
and I'm not sure if women went, or if they did, they had their own section, and they also had slaves, right? And slaves were
Oh yeah,
not allowed in.
yeah, yeah.
We think of it as that first democracy, but it was also pretty structured in
Totally.
terms of, you know, but it's still a marvel of architecture. My God, the seating and that section called the Teatron, right? The round section that was it translates to the seeing place. A professor of mine told me that when she went, not to that theater, it was a different one. It was still standing. She said she sat up in the absolute back, like what would be the last row of the theater, and two people were on what would be the stage, that round circle, and they were just like tourists, and they were speaking like this, like we're talking to each other about the most mundane shit, like, hey, what do you want to do for dinner? She said she heard every syllable.
Wow.
the,
Yeah, I
the
mean,
acoustic, you know.
they really knew
That,
how to build things. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it was such a interesting, I mean, thinking back to like the first actors or, if that's what we believe, that the first actors were in ancient Greece, that, they had these masks that would also it was just like
right.
the basic thing was that everyone could hear.
Could hear it. They would have. I
Like,
mean, yeah. I mean, some of those masks that are extant, they exist still. You see the mask, but then it has a little
yeah.
of like a built-in sort of megaphone, so that the
Yeah.
it was important. It was important to hear, because
It still is. It
it
still
is.
is,
Right.
They had something to say back then. They really had
yeah.
something to say. Those plays were all about, but that was before, that was like 300, 400, 500 years before the Common Era,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and theater, it was important to go. I hope it's still important.
Well,
By the way,
the root of you both know this, but the root of audience is audio. So hearing
yeah,
was
yeah. Well, I don't know if what's going on these days is you can't hear, or they're not saying anything worth hearing.
I mean, yeah, it's a strange. Yeah, I mean, we become reliant. I mean, on technology too. So technology, but also I think, acting with different periods of time has also shifted. I can really see like the impact of like like the way we're all so solitary now. Everything is so close to us. Everything we hear is through like these headphones, and especially in film, it's like very quiet acting.
Yeah.
This this is the best acting that exists right now.
Yeah.
This is acting that nothing is happening. Um,
I know. Listen, man, we could have a whole conversation about, generationally
yeah.
how people are communicating, and not only out but taking in too. Like what you put out, but also what you take in. And I have noticed that when I'm training actors in, let's say, the basic repetition exercise, when they speak, you're wearing a striped shirt, it kind of goes out of their mouth and it dies somewhere before it gets to their partner.
Mm.
I'm like, are you saying that to Brandon, or are you just saying it? It just dies in the air.
Mm.
This conversation we're having brings up an interesting point. I think you know that I still work on Zoom with people. I'll coach or I'll do classes, and some people will call me and say, "I feel like I'm losing my spontaneity. Can we just repeat, whatever?" And I was working with a group. Sometimes I do we'll work on something just to work on it, like a scene or even a whole play. And these are actors who are like, we're never going to mount this as a production. We just want to work on something, to take it apart and feel like actors, And so two women are working on Children's Hour. I have, Carson worked on Long Day's Journey, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Well, two of the young women that I'm working with right now, I was talking to them about performance ensemble, Brandon, right? Devised. But I also started to talk about the 1-1 project, which is the company that Carson and I are in, and how it's so not conventional theater. One of the women said, "Oh, you know what that sounds like? You would love. Have you ever read this book, Theater of the Unimpressed?"
Oh my God.
I said, "No, that sounds like a really interesting book. Who wrote it? I'm going to go get it." She goes, "This guy, this Canadian playwright named Jordan Tanner." And I go, "I'm pretty sure that's Brandon's husband."
Yeah, it is. It's also a great fucking book. Christopher Cartmel also is like obsessed with that book.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I listen, everyone listening to my voice, Carson and I always have, at least once per episode, we stop and go, here's a recommendation of an actor you should know, or a play you should know, or a book you should know. Theater of the Unimpressed, Jordan Tanner. It's like 10 years old now, right? Probably from like 2015 or so.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually. I mean, it surely predates us. But he was young, and he also, was really a theater maker, and really kind of interested in producing like really interesting theater in Toronto. And he created Video Fag, which was like this like underground theater, and was seeing all these people bring to the table like all this interesting work that he wasn't seeing like mass produced. And so
no, everyone read the play. This is a tough word to use. I know it's dense. I know. Now you're all going to be like, I don't want to read a dense play. When I say dense, I just mean full. It's very full, but it's also a short read. Like it's short. It's a short read. It's a little pocket, little paperback. You can pick it up and read it, right? So anybody who's listening to me, I'm telling you, I've only had it for a couple of weeks, maybe a week and a half or two, and I'm like more than halfway through it. But Brandon, you tell Jordan that I have a bone to pick with him, because he almost made me miss my bus. and then I almost missed my stop, because I was at the Port Authority, and half an hour to the bus, and I started reading it. I look up, I got like 2 minutes to get on. I got lost in the book. I'm like, oh fuck, I got to get on the bus. Then I started reading it on the bus, and I was like, my stop! I almost missed the stop.
it's a dangerous read. We should think about banning it.
Tell him that it should come with a warning.
Yeah. He'll be so.
Don't miss your bus.
He'll be so happy to hear that. Yeah.
And his
Also,
great play just transferred to Studio Seaview, right?
yeah, Prince Faggot, up at Playwrights Horizons. It's like his New York debut, and it's just done really, really well. And sweet Barbara and Deborah Headwell as well, like emailed me, and
Yeah.
I love
Is
the
it
idea.
so the play is it running now?
Yeah, it just opened again. It transferred to commercial off Broadway, Seaview
Right.
theater, which is
Okay.
Greg Noble's theater. Yeah.
Well, I guess we have to go see it, Carson.
Yeah.
Did you already see it? Have you seen
No,
it? You did see it.
I couldn't get a ticket to Playwrights. It was
Yeah,
hot
it was
ticket.
sold out.
Yeah. It was a hot ticket.
Very good. Very good. Well, why don't you do a little nepotism there, and why don't you get in the play, Brandon?
Yeah,
You know the writer.
I helped him craft it. That's how we met. We workshopped it.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
know.
wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
And yeah, then when it came time, it wasn't mine. And somehow I still married him.
I was going to say, who do you have to marry in this
I
town to get a
know.
part?
I know. Talk about a tough industry. No, it all makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's a great part. But they were juggling a couple different producerial challenges with it. Putting a play up called Prince Faggot, and
Yeah.
its context is really like challenging.
Yeah.
The monarchy, and in a couple interesting ways that I think everyone was predicting would be challenged.
Yeah.
Again, like calling gays like groomers, and what are we doing? Like, putting this lifestyle on certain people, and so I think they wanted to get a couple things right. And to be honest, I think I read too American to play
All right.
like this Brit, and the play exists in this meta fashion where like actors are like announcing that they're actors playing this part, and it would have been like this layered, like I'm pretending to be a British actor who's
pretending to be, yeah.
And the guy who's doing it, John McCrae, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's so interesting because you always gravitate to your career follows your instincts. Like you do what you want. Like if you're interested in something, you do it. But you have a career. I mean, you did 13 Reasons Why, of course, and that's very well known.
Yeah.
But you also did The Parenting, which is kind of a funny horror movie. I saw you in Kid Victory, which is a really interesting about a kid who gets abducted. A teenager, young boy gets abducted. And then he kind of grows up with the person who abducted him. And it's very complex, but it's a musical. And it's written by Kander and Ebb, right? The guys who did Cabaret and
well,
Chicago.
just Kander. Ebb has gone on, but it's
passed away by then. That's right.
Greg Pierce was it's the playwright.
But But like what a challenging thing. It was the first thing you did, I think, out of school that I saw you. But also you do like you were in Manhunt, which was really, really interesting thing on Netflix right after the shooting of Lincoln. And Carson, can you remind me? I want to talk to Brandon actually about that, about finding the way into period pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So these are, quote unquote commercial endeavors. But then, speaking of titles, you did a movie called Fuck Toys.
I did do that movie.
Yeah, which is by our very dear friend, former student of mine and friend of ours, Annapurna Sriram, who we have to get on this podcast, right? We have to get her on here to talk to us. A great actor, but also writer and director of that film, and producer of it all. And you read a script and you like it. It's one scene, but it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Really funny, but also a little bit of twisting the knife to the industry a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
to certain artists in the industry, you know.
Yeah.
And you were hilarious in it, and you
Thanks.
threw yourself into it, you know. But you also did Lockjaw, the video,
Oh yeah.
right? Our friend Jean-Louis Droulas was in this crazy, wonderful uh, musical group called Cook Douglas, and they had this great song called Lockjaw. And you've known Jean-Louis since Miami, right? You guys were young in Miami.
Yeah, since we were, 14, like
Oh,
at this point. Yeah.
And you both went to Rutgers, and you were my
Mhm.
students. And then his band does this song, and you're in the video of it. And
Yeah.
it's, again, you could have done anything, but you're like, yeah, I'm in. You know,
I mean, I'm just, it's, I don't know. It's, I mean, if we're talking about acting, it's just like, I fucking love it. Like, and, there's this idea that there's this sort of, especially like in the commercial landscape, that there's sort of this, way to go about things, and this, way to be smart. And, I didn't go to school to be smart, really. Like, I went to school to be an actor, like, and maybe that will bite me in the ass in like some career standpoint, like view. But, essentially, like, I just love working on things, and I love that, I've been in acting school since I was 14. Like, I have these amazing friends and these amazing, like, people who are making things that, may not be at the level of like other commercial things that I've done, but, I see no reason to sort of like, I can't do that right now. Like, I actually just, am grateful that all these projects exist. And so far it's been totally great and cool that I've been able to do all of them.
yeah, that your heart leads your career.
Yeah.
And you've done some great work that people know about, and you've done some crazy shit that people should know about.
Yeah. And
I mean,
hopefully,
you and I are gonna do film in the
yes.
Dominican Republic, and it's a little indie thing, but it's interesting as hell, and it's been in development for a while. And just recently, you're also like, when you're in, you're in. Like, you get all excited. You're like, I can't. You write me these emails like, we're gonna do So we're gonna
Yeah.
do this thing down in the DR, and you're in. So that's
Yeah.
it.
I'm totally in, and it's great. I like get to,
Yeah.
I mean, I read it earlier today, and
Yeah.
I texted Nina a couple things who
Yeah.
is gonna play the lead in it. And
Yeah.
I'm eager to get to work, and I think each project, no matter the scale, is always offering me the same thing, which is like, how am I going to do this one, and what am I gonna, I mean, what's so interesting now, like being a professional actor for like 10 years, but really being, in the craft and training for, much longer than that, is like, what's the new thing I can learn? What's the new discovery or idea here? And selfishly, like, it's, I grow too, like, as a human.
Yeah. Absolutely. It also might fall into that category of what we were talking about with the industry. Like, if you have the kind of agent who might say to you, "Don't take that job. It's not going to
Yeah.
help you be a big movie star." You're like, "But it's interesting to me." So
Yeah. No, I'm very lucky. My agents, I mean, although they're like, can you please stop taking unfinanced projects, like they're racking up, like, and of course, like each project I take, I'm like, in some deep conversation with the director for like years sometimes, because I'm like, let's make this. How do we make this? And I've sort of, I think in some ways, like, have always geared myself up to be a producer of sorts. It's not really a job title I want, but it's like, I really want to get my hands in there and help. Which I think, you brought up PE. It's like that experience is like always this like monkey on my back. Like it's always there. Just how difficult and how rewarding it was. Like,
Yeah.
A reminder of like, God, this stuff is not easy.
Yeah.
And it's a mess until it like narrows in and all of a sudden makes all the sense in the world,
That's right. Yeah. We should clarify that when Brandon says PE, we had when Brandon was in school, every year I would devise a piece with the company, and it was called performance ensemble, but we called it PE. But what it really was us getting together as a group, actors and the director, going on the very first day. We look at each other like we don't know what this is gonna. We're starting from nothing, and you just it's fucking around, isn't it? You just fucking maybe it's this, maybe it's that. You go down an alley, and then you go, it's not that. You have to come back and go. You go down that one, and I remember you created the greatest character in the world, man. It was like this. He was like this public school. You looked very young back then, and so it
Yeah.
was it was kind of disturbing because you played this little Catholic school or public school looking boy, but he had a kind of a dark side to him, and he would have like cigarettes rolled up on his sleeve, like that kind of kid. Yeah. I remember at Rutgers that you were. I think I'm going to tell a story. We're going to be very delicate. You might not even remember this, Brandon, but I'm going to be very delicate. Early on in the process of rehearsing performance ensemble, an MFA came to me and said, some of the BFAs are doing a thing that's not very professional. It's not disciplined, and they were all doing it, And I didn't know who it was, and they didn't tell me, and I didn't really care. But I came to rehearsal. I said, "Listen, you guys," and I just read the riot act about how to be disciplined and professional, et cetera, et cetera. Right. And that was it. Right. I think there were a group of about 5 people who were involved in this thing. One person came to me. I didn't even ask. I didn't ask. I didn't say, you must come to me. But I was just like, come on, you guys, what kind of actor do you want to be? One person came to me and admitted that they were one of the group, and apologized for it, and said, from this point on, I know what kind of actor I want to be, and I'm never going to, I'm going to get my shit together in terms of commitment and discipline, whatever that. Brandon,
Yeah.
18 years old.
I appreciate the delicacy, but for the sake of, I was really screwing about. I wasn't, and I'm 18, like, how serious can I be? But I'm forever grateful for, forces like you, and even in, I went to an arts high school in Miami, and I had mentors there as well, really people who, like, I'm grateful for it, saw something in me, and like, didn't beat around the bush with me, which I think has really shaped me as a human and as an artist. Like, I'm everything with love, but let's get to the fucking root of it. Let's not be convoluted, as Kevin would always say in crafting something. But I was getting high all the time, and
Here I was being delicate about it.
well, it was also, it's a part of my story as well. Like, I really, like, I had forces to shake me and say I specifically remember another cast member being really shaken up, bringing up trust, and that really rattled me, that someone
Oh,
wouldn't be able to trust me, because, of my own bullshit, which, would go on for years in different ways. And, I found some clarity around that stuff.
well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Trust, yeah, God damn it. Trust. People throw it around, don't they? Trust, but it's everything. You have to trust the technique that it works. You have to trust yourself in the technique, and you have to trust your partners and the people around you, or you can't do it. How are you going
Yeah.
to be open when you're like, I'm not sure if I fall, you're going to catch me?
It is such, that triangle, if it exists, it's like you're in a really cool process.
Yeah.
You're in a really cool process.
Now, this also, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna, that trust is, it's, speaking of Deborah Headwall, and it's really what we trained as well. It was like we were training with a company of actors, with how to build trust in the room and how to like create a safe space. I really appreciate the sentiment of like, not taking that lightly, because it's easy to say, but I just did a new play in Williamstown. And, it was Jeremy O'Harris's new play, and it was a challenging room, it was, I didn't always feel that trust there, and it was really like, thank God I had done Deborah's class this year as well. Like, 'cause that was really, grinding. Like, how do I trust myself? How do I show up in this process? And in an interesting meta way, it all helped land the character, because the character was sort of going through that. And
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. No, but yes, I was going to say that it, this is a little delicate also, but the thing that's in you, Brandon, that we were just talking about, also kind of makes you the artist that you are. Just a little bit dangerous, or a little bit, like willing to uh, mine possibly a dark side, as long as it's in the service of art. Because I remember when you were 18, I was like, this kid's interesting as hell. But what speaking of exploiting, I'm like, I'm not going to ride his charisma or what's interesting about him, but also not help to guide him to become an artist rather than just a loose cannon or something.
yeah, totally. And yeah, you really, I would say most of my high school, I was able to really like this charisma that I have. I was able to like really like implement that into my acting, and this like idea of faking it till you make it, and charm the shit out of them really, really worked out for me. And boy, did Kevin crack that. It didn't work on him. No, but it's interesting. I remember certain things that we discussed in those like really, in that amazing first year where, so much of what we're bringing to the table is just us. And, a loose cannon I was really like, some of those activities that I pulled out were like bleh, like just vomit. And, you were always there to sort of like be like, what the hell, man? Like, one thing I really, I think I was very angry at that age as well, like angry at like a lot of life and circumstances and things. And, I just remember you always, it's something that I still remember, because it's such a first impulse is to like go, like my actions are anger, which it's, and to just find the love, like
find the love. What a great that is a great worldview. You know, honestly, why do theater if you don't lead with love? You know, why do any art? Because you're trying to communicate something. So what are you trying to communicate? That everything sucks, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's boring.
yeah, but now there's a flip side to you that you're going to be embarrassed when I say this. I already told this story on a previous podcast about how Tom Pelfrey and you and I were at a diner right when 13 Reasons Why came out. I don't know if you remember this, but a girl, maybe 13, 14, 15, came up to the table and said, "Are you Brandon Flynn?" And you said yes. And she burst into tears. She was so moved by the show. And for her to come over to the table, it looked like it took a lot, you know? And then
Yeah.
you got up out of the booth and stood with her, you know? Like you could have just been like, okay, but you were like, you knew something was up and she needed to sort of commiserate with you. It was absolutely amazing.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
but the other thing was, this might have been the same night because you and Pelfrey and I were hanging out. You and I went to see Pelfrey in a reading as a fundraiser for a youth theater in New York. Uh, Opening Act, I think they're called. A great organization
Yeah.
that the underserved kids in certain places in New York who don't get to see theater or be in theater, they serve that community. And it was a fundraiser. So we saw Pelfrey do a reading and it was all great. But then they did a kind of auction, like asking for money. Who will donate this much money? Who will donate this? Well, you had just gotten the job. So I think you were feeling a little flush. And I'm not going to say how much, but you just donated. I turned to you and I said to you, I have never been more proud of you in my life than right now. Like you gave a fairly good amount of money to that organization. And it also got the whole thing rolling. Everybody else was like, oh, there were people, who do you invite to a fundraiser? People that have money.
Yeah.
And sometimes people with money are the last people to give you money, you know?
Mm.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, you're now finding out you're trying to make a movie.
You try to make a movie. Yeah. Yeah. I've
Yeah.
always noticed, like, who will give you money? People who don't have it. Like, if
Yeah.
someone has $10, they'll give you $5. If somebody's got $1 million, they'll give you nothing.
Yeah.
So you go to the people who support you and get, But I'm just saying that you were like,
I mean, I didn't grow up with any of that. So, I'll be blunt, like, yeah, when I got 13 Reasons Why, it was like an insane paycheck that I was 3 months out of college, like that's the reality. Like I in my years at Rutgers, I thought, okay, yeah, I'll be a waiter and I'll do theater. In fact, I remember one of my activities was that I was, in Meisner in the first year specifically at Rutgers, we craft activities, where you want to work on a certain, is emotion the right word? I guess.
Yeah. I mean, yes, but temperament. What part of your temperament are you giving a work?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And this one was, I think up to this point, I had done like really like heavy dramatic, like, this is get back at my dad for doing this and all the things I needed to exercise. And then finally I was like, okay, I want to work on like joy and how do I get into that? And the exercise was that I was calling my parents to tell them I was cast in Sleep No More. And you stopped me in the middle of the phone call and were like, Sleep No More? That's your ambition? That's your big? What about a movie with Meryl Streep or, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess that'd be great too. Like, it was really beyond my wildest dreams, like to do 13 Reasons, like right out the gate. And, it's, it was things like moments like that where it's just like, I don't know if I should not donate or donate, but I want to donate. Like, why not just do it?
That's right.
And all
And
that.
it wasn't just some ridiculous cause. It was a really important
Yeah.
organization. They're
Yeah.
not making tons of money. You know, the people who run that organization, they ain't making tons of money doing
No.
Mm.
it, you know? So, but then years later, last year, I go to see you in Kowalski off Broadway at the Duke. And I'm walking across the street. It's about an hour before curtain. I'm looking for a place to eat. I'm halfway across 42nd Street, and I look up, and you were already looking at me, laughing. You were standing outside the stage door, the old proverbial smoking a cigarette outside the stage door, you know. And you see me, and you just start laughing because I must look like I didn't know where. And when I saw you, we burst out laughing, and we were talking. But while we were talking, we're on 42nd Street. I see your eyes just gradually look a little to your left, just really subtly looking to your left. Finally, by the third time, I go, what the? I look over, and there are these two young, again, maybe 15 or 16, two girls are just like, ah, it's Brandon Flynn. They were kind of frozen in place, you know? And you waved at them. Like you could have just been like, I know, and I don't want to engage. I'm doing a show in about an hour. You waved at them. And when you waved at them, they were like, oh, it's okay, you know? And then they said, can we get a picture? And you were like, oh, yes, of course. And then I said, I'm going to go eat. Here for Brandon to hang out with the people to whom he is very important. Like you're important to them. They weren't just like oh, a celebrity Gaga. They were like, it just felt important to them, you know. But that you waved at them to acknowledge, to be like, yeah, I see you there, and hi, and yes, it's okay, you know. So it's just there's a sweetness to you in that sense, but there's also a like, this is just our job. It's what we do, you know.
Mm.
I'm not precious about it or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's kind of a through line, Kevin, with all of our guests is humility, and Brandon exemplifies that. And I mean, think about it, like with Geergis and Pelfrey and Kaylee, it's all like these, and Brandon, these big time actors, and it's like humility is kind of the leading force. You know, I mean, you do Kowalski, Brandon. You've done 13 Reasons. You're gonna do, you know, the biopic, and but then you're gonna do this film in the DR. You know, and it's like that's so cool to me. And you spoke to this earlier, and I think young actors have to hear this, that it's the same, like you said, it's the same process. It's the same reward, which is huge, and it's also the same desire, and not letting the commercialism overtake your life, and just leading from your heart. That's so moving to me. I've really enjoyed hearing you say that.
Yeah. I mean, it is really true, you know, and ultimately, like, as an actor who has like faced and come to know some sort of success, and like, you know, I'm known to some people, like my goal has never been just to like carry that on. That has to grow. I mean, definitely there's a part of me that, you know, wonders like, oh, is that going to get bigger? Is that going to happen again? Is that going to, you know, naturally it's just part of my experience. But I mean, it is a job, like, and ultimately the best part about some of these jobs are that, you know, the bigger ones, the bigger productions, is that my paycheck is just bigger. You know, it's like, okay, I get to afford my house, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
and some of those projects have been the worst, creatively, as well, you know. Like,
But that lends you to do the film in the DR, like do
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's I can actually afford. I mean, I remember when I did Kid Victory, I had just shot the first season of 13 Reasons Why. So like, oh my God, I just made crazy, stupid money, you know, that I was just like, I come from a family who didn't make money like that. Like, you know, it struggled, but like, it was like always said, thank God my grandmother passed because she left me money to go to university, you know, like she helped me go to university. Like that wasn't something that was going to be capable in my household. But I then went to do Kid Victory, and I remember Kathleen Chiffant, who was on the head of the Vineyard. The Vineyard couldn't afford for me to like have housing in New York, so Kathleen put me up in her house, which was so generous. And she has a lovely home, and she's incredibly talented and a beautiful artist and human. But I just remember looking at the paycheck for that job, and I was just like, if I had gotten this job first out of school, I wouldn't know what to do. Actually, I actually wouldn't know if I didn't know if I would be able to do that. I don't know what the point I was trying to make here, but oh yes, some of these bigger, you know, jobs like really allow me to do the more satisfying jobs, and I'm kind of happy with that balance right now.
It's a nice balance in that you get to control it, like that you get to say, I see something that really interests me and I can go do it because of that other.
Yeah, it's like putting in extra hours at an office job, you know. It's like no one, you know.
Yeah. And to balance that is really great. I mean, somebody like Sebastian Stan, who's also our former student, he can do the Marvel universe, but then he can also do A Different Man and the Apprentice and those kinds of things. You know, they just interest him, right? The guy's an actor,
So good.
yeah, but it lets you, you know, you could be in the Marvel universe. That'll let you do some stuff that might be smaller and a little bit more. And by the way, I'm not saying doing the Marvel universe is not challenging. It's got its challenges too. So, you know.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, each movie is kind of, you know, framed to do the same thing. And it's just like all these projects present like the challenge of, okay, like how are we going to do that? And maybe it's not the thing you want to do, you know, maybe it's, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
The Carson mentioned the biopic. Are you allowed to talk about it?
Oh yeah. I mean, in you know, again, in all truth, it's like it's an unfinanced project. Like, you know, it's a James Dean biopic, and it's unfinanced. You know, if anyone is listening to this,
anybody who's listening, come on now.
No, it's currently actually that is the first project I'm being brought on to as a producer as well. And that's right now it's like in some rewrites and
you know, I know you said before that you don't really look forward to or want to be a producer, but I think you'd be great at it. Like if you had your own production company or if you were somehow guiding things, because you have a very good eye for it. I mean, early on when we were developing the film we're going to go, it's called Buena, the film we're going to go do in the DR, you were involved in development of it early on. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of went this way and now we're back, you know, so you have a good eye for it. So you know, eventually I think that is going to happen for you. You know, I'm not saying you're not going to give up acting, but you'll be involved in the creation of the thing that you're in, you know?
Yeah, so, definitely.
But this brings us back. I would ask Carson to remind me that.
Yeah, the Manhunt.
Yeah, but other things too. Like I saw you played Marlon Brando and you entered that world, like you entered the tone and the world of it. You seemed like you were from that place, you know? But in Manhunt, you fucking seemed like you were in 1865. I'm like, how's he doing this? You know what I mean? Like you I don't know what research you did or what did you do where you looked like you were from that time, but you also you rode a horse like you were from that time. I'm like, that's how they rode horseshoes back then. I just believed all of it. The language and the look. So
you were Edwin Stanton's son, right?
That was Edwin, Eddie Stanton Jr.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact. Yeah,
But then
Tobias.
then
Oh yeah,
thinking
go
of you for Tobias
Menzies.
Menzies.
Yeah, Menzies.
Menzies, yeah. He played the guy, and so, but now if you do the James Dean thing, that's another. There's something people see in you, I guess, where they think you can go into. Like, I'd love to see you in some 1920s thing. I bet you'd belong right in the
Oh
Gatsby
hell
line.
yeah.
Like, you find your way in, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some research that goes into it. Manhunt was that was a challenging project. There was a lot of like internal stuff happening whilst filming, and truthfully, I signed on to what I would say was a different project. You know, like I signed on to play a different character, but while we were doing it, and some of the things I actually agree with, because I think the story needed to be streamlined, and my storyline was like a bit convoluted. And I think as we filmed, they realized like, okay, why does Edward Stanton have to worry about his son right now? He actually needs to worry about catching John Wilkes Booth.
Oh, right.
So a lot of these like scenes that I thought I was gonna like come on to play just like never really happened. But there were a couple great moments, I thought, and it really, you know, there was something that happened on that set, you know, because I was gone for like 6 months filming it in Savannah, and I just got bored. Like I felt bored on set, and ultimately it led me to like, how am I going to make this interesting for myself? And you know, I was like asking the, you know, creative team for, you know, did they have any research that I talked to colleges who had some letters, you know, that I from my character who existed, you know, and I'd read some letters that were so you know, banal and like nothing like sugar will be delivered, you know. It's like but then I was just like, okay, this sort of framework of the character that I had been given was this son who wanted to live up to his father. And I mean, I just came in and the first couple days I got to set, I was like, I'm going to go watch Tobias work. And I kind of like heard the things he was doing with his voice, and I just started mimicking him. And that's like where this like weird, you know, in came. It was, yeah, I mean, there was definitely some research done on my end, and like, you know, reading like manners books from that time, and, you know, how people shook hands or how people, you know, addressed each other, things like that. And then, you know, just watching Tobias and being like, that's the character too. That's his son is like, his eyes are just on his father all the time.
Yeah. That's simple. That's a nice, simple choice. His eyes are always on his father. Like, you go, I can jump off from that, you know.
Which is, I mean, I'll also speak to actors in this. Like, it is so scary to be simple. You know, it was a big fear of mine, that project. I was just like, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. Like, I'm supposed to be in this time period. I'm supposed to be, you know, this real person. I'm supposed to be blah, 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 blah. And it was actually just simple.
Yeah.
And someone put a mustache on me as well.
Yeah, right. It helped. It really does. I'm so curious to see, you know, if people see to cast you in other time periods, like, you know,
yeah, I mean, it's
ancient Rome or something, like, you just.
Oh hell yeah! I would love that. I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, same thing with Brando as well. It was, you know, I think going back to what we talked about, where I think a lot of my process is like starting off with like, bleh, and like just splattering this big generalized, like, I kind of want to do that, then that. And then, you know, it's like also what we talked about with performance ensemble. It's this big thing until it just starts dwindling down. And I mean, every night I went on stage, there was about 3 things that I focused in on Brando. Like 3, just simple things. Like, I got up here for his voice, and there's these mid-century men. All their stances, like the back of their hands were always forward, and I just thought of that energetically as so like swaggerful, and then I just remembered our shared sort of tension around our fathers, and like that was like that's how I entered the stage.
I saw you do it before it opened. You invited me, and I remembered, but I remembered thinking like he's resisting the temptation to do an impression of Marlon Brando. Like, how iconic is Marlon Brando? Everybody's gonna know, and you were like, don't come here to see an impression of Marlon Brando. But it captured. It's like, no, but that's him, young, in the circumstances. See, that was the other thing. It's like, you don't have to be Marlon Brando. You have to be the guy who's in the circumstance that he's in, trying to get a part.
Yes. That was the tough thing about that play is, as we discussed, like, some of the circumstances that were written, I started doing all this research, and I was like, what if maybe he'd respond that way. And, sometimes, I'm also like, I walk away from a project and I'm like, I was right. I know I was right. But that's not what was there.
That's not what was there.
And that's...
Well, you and I are going to collaborate in about 3 or 4 weeks, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to be like, here's my take on it, and I'll hear you, and I might totally agree and go, yeah, let's go that way. Or I might go, yeah, but just according to the story, it's this. And then you may walk away going, I was right. I know I was. Or hopefully you meet someone, right?
I think we will.
We'll need, right?
Yeah.
We've collaborated before. We know each other's vocabulary,
And I'm very excited to collaborate with you on film, because that's such it's not often collaborative. Like it can be pretty rushed, and even when you're sort of given the idea of collaboration, it gets edited to something that was like, oh wow, I did not want that.
Yeah,
there it is.
That's a whole other thing, right? You're like, that.
Yeah.
We don't want to keep you too long. This has been great. I think what's interesting is that so many of the things that Carson and I talk about over and over again, they do tend to come up again. Like what you basically just said, Brandon, is something that we say a lot, which is prepare, forget about it. And when you go like, it's this, and then you go, 3 simple things that I went on stage with to play Marlon Brando, you have to trust that you prepared, and then you leave it alone. And so it's great to sort of come back to hear actors from different backgrounds come back to that basic notion that you said, it's scary to be simple.
Yeah.
Scary to be simple. Especially young actors, they feel like they have to show and demonstrate all the work they've done. What were you going to say, Carson?
Yeah. And then, like you said, putting the mustache on as Eddie Stanton Jr. So like, it's playing pretend, and you lend yourself to that little thing, and it alters you, and you trust that.
Well, yeah, I have to remember there's an audience watching it. And they're taking me in, no one can read anyone's mind. Like, they're taking me in how I look, how I sound, how I'm walking. Like, it's kind of simple things that they're pulling a story away from, and I don't say that to diminish any of the like emotional life that to me is just, if we're going to talk acting, like that's, we gotta do that first and foremost, we have to have that.
Well, the thing that we would say is that that's a given. Like
Yeah,
from the way you're trained in the Meisner technique. Uh, so Brandon, you would say, well, they expect me to show up with that. That's a given.
yeah,
So why would we focus on the emotional life or whatever? I did it, and that's in there.
right.
But what is the audience reading from? What does the audience get from?
Yeah. I mean, what Meryl Streep, she's someone who does like extensive research, right? Like she like learned a whole other language to play, Sophie and Sophie's Choice,
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
and what a gift, it's like that she got that opportunity to, have the time to, because I'll say that you don't often have the time, to learn guitar for the guitar playing part. You don't often have all that time. So what a luxury she had for that. But it also like paid off. She was telling her husband something, and she's like, I left set today knowing that I could have done that however I showed up on set would have been right, because I just know it. So
yeah.
I know that character so well. I know the life, and it's like, it's a nice freedom to think about.
Yep. I wish I wish I could have a magic wand and wave it over every young actor's head and say, you know, it's okay. You got this,
Yeah.
you understand it. Now leave it alone.
Yeah.
But that's true of everything, because like, for instance, today, or we knew we were going to talk to Brandon maybe a week or two ago. We solidified it. And in the last week or two, I'm crafting that I'm going to talk to Brandon, and it's important. But then at the end of the day, I go, but I know, but it's Brandon. He and I are just going to talk like we talk. I'm not going to be like, no, Brandon,
Yeah.
tell us about blah, like we don't know each other. You know what I mean? All right, let's get the hell out of here. Enough already.
All right, enough of this.
Enough of it.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. It's so great.
Yeah,
Um,
what a pleasure.
Yeah. So let me say, this is the last thing I want to say for everybody. I want everybody to go watch that music video Lockjaw, and I want you to recognize what commitment looks like. Because here's Brandon, who's doing okay professionally, and he's doing this, video for nothing, or whatever. There's a moment in that video where you are shirtless and you slide down a hill. That's like a stand. It's stand. They're out in the desert somewhere. I'm like, Brandon, you could be sipping champagne on the French Riviera right now. You are just flying down this hill. I'm like, he must be ripping his back up, rolling shirtless down sand, but you fucking own it. And I'm like, that's commitment, goddamn. It's what it asked of you, or maybe you asked it
There was, yeah.
yourself. Maybe you're like, I'm gonna fucking do this. Hey guys, point the camera. I'm gonna roll down this hill.
Oh God. I mean, I think there was, if I'm remembering it correctly, it was, John Louis is quite waif and like very, it's part of his genius is like, he's just, he's an editor, he's like, he knows how to sit there after it's all done and like, but when he's working, he paints in broad colors. And, I remember, I think I yelled at him and I was just like, you got 3 takes of me doing this, because it was like unclear when we're going to wrap this day. It was unclear where we're going. It was like, truly guerrilla music video making, which again, I'm so fucking down for. But also for all the actors listening, like, know when to say, we've got it.
We got it. Yeah. We always say that you want to be brave and bold and committed and all, but you also know yourself better than anybody else does. So
Well, yeah.
you might be like,
and it's
the end.
Yeah. It's hard to do that 12 times. Like it's, and maybe even necessary sometimes, but,
Yeah. And to say, that's funny because I started this by going, "You're so committed rolling down that hill," and you're like, "Yeah, I did, but I didn't have to do it 10 times." But that's balance, right? That's amazing.
Yeah, because I committed.
That's right. God damn it.
Yeah.
All right. Great to see you, dude. I'll see you in about a month.
You too, man. Yeah.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's coming up. I have the questions for you. All right, Carson. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, man.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Meisner Podcast.